I'm Jay from JXB Performance. This is my 2014 Audi S4. I started as my daily driver back in 2014. Bought it with 5,000 miles on it. Showed up to an autocross a couple months later, and they put it in a class called Street Modified because I had a supercharger pulley on it, and I had no idea what that was. Well, this is it. So this is currently built to SCCA's Street Modified autocross class. Which is basically anything with 4 seats for the factory and do about whatever you want. So drivetrain's unlimited, suspension's unlimited, make as much power as you want. So we've been bringing it to King of the Mountain 2 years in a row now. We did the big wing project last year. We decided a more conservative approach was in order this year. Yeah, I can show you around it.
And how much power are you making?
We have not officially dynoed it, but just based on the engine and everything that's in it and the mods, it should be around 650 at the wheels.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 out of Audi S7, and it has the turbos from an RS7. So I'll pop the hood to you.
And it's all-wheel drive, right?
Yeah, so all-wheel drive. It has a Torsen front differential, Torsen center, and we have an OS Geiken rear.
Okay. Is it like a 2-way rear, or?
Yeah. It's about like, I guess it's really like a 1.5 way.
Okay.
Yeah, clutch type.
Oh my, that thing's packed in there.
Yeah, it's packed in there. Luckily we got a lot of space in front because as you notice there is no radiator up front anymore. We're completely sealed off in the front. Try to keep any pressure out from underneath the hood.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is actually a fairly basic build in terms of this engine. It's basically just intake, you know, catless downpipes, RS7 turbos, and an exhaust, and some upgraded high pressure fuel pumps. But there's nothing's built in it. We haven't ever opened up the engine. Just running on E70 mix. Yeah, it's just a good, reliable engine. You really don't push it hard out here.
Any particular reason of E70 versus like E85?
Mostly just because we haven't tried E85. I'm sure it would be fine.
Yeah.
Kind of the word on the street is you don't go past like E60 on these engines because the fuel system just can't keep up with it.
Okay.
But since we're only really use second gear, you don't really run out of fuel. You're up and down so quick. You know, it's not like we're doing long sustained pulls where we're gonna slowly lose fuel pressure.
For sure. I was gonna ask, like, do these run E70 from the factory, or did you have to modify a bunch of stuff to get it to handle that?
So the fuel system's pretty well set up. You have to do a different high pressure fuel pump pistons.
Okay.
But the ECU is actually set up so that it can run like complete flex fuel. You just have to do one wire into the, basically we have a little OBD2 like controller thing.
Okay.
Dyno Spectrum is the name of like the tuning suite, and you basically run an extra wire and then you can have full E85 or full flex fuel capabilities. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. So we're actually using the ECU that came out of the S7 engine donor car.
Okay.
So we got the whole harness and everything out of it. Very little modification. It still runs a factory manual transmission, bolts right up to it.
Okay.
All these Audi engines are fairly similar on the back side of them. They just kind of add more cylinders to the front. Yeah, so we've taken, obviously, the radiator, the air-to-water heat exchanger for the turbos is out of here, and obviously the AC is gone. A lot of aero modifications here. Ton of weight reduction. I mean, we've gone through and made every bolt titanium that we can. We've carbon fibered everything. These are carbon fiber fenders that I made. This car started at its life at 3960 with a quarter tank of gas and no spare.
Really?
And right now, with this heavy engine, which added 150 pounds to it, we've weighed in at 3375. So
wow.
This thing would be getting pretty close to 3,200 pounds. And we actually have some lighter weight wheels coming. So I would say if we hadn't done the engine swap, we'd be at 3,200 pounds. So like 800 pounds lost, and we've added some more weight in too when you add the wing and spherical bushings, differentials, all that stuff adds up too.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was gonna ask. I'm not super savvy on Audi engines and everything.
Yep.
But what were like the main factors? Was there like any factors other than just power from going from the S4 engine to the other one?
So we wanted it to be a little more reliable with higher power levels. this car came with a 3-liter V6 from the factory with a supercharger on it.
Yep.
And in order to make a lot of power, you had to spin the charger really fast, which makes a ton of heat. And then we actually hydrolocked the original engine because the intercooler cores inside the supercharger burst open just from being heat cycled so badly.
Yep.
And actually filled up one of the cylinders. So we had the opportunity to make a ton of power and pretty easily, and we just went for it. So.
Okay.
Not sure if it's actually any faster or not. It added a lot of weight to the front, but
yeah,
it sure sounds better.
And you said it added a lot of reliability too,
yes,
which is
absolutely. I mean, this engine we have had like no problem. We had one high pressure fuel pump failure. That was it.
Yeah,
I've been running this for 2 years and it doesn't care.
Yeah, that's huge when you're racing, is having something reliable.
Yep.
Even if it does add weight, sometimes that's a sacrifice you got to make.
Yeah, and we've actually been able to almost get the front end back to the same weight that originally was with the old engine, just by going after other weight reduction in the area, right? Between the radiator and lightening the hood and the front bumper more, and we've like deleted, parts off the engine. We've literally gone through the entire wiring harness and pulled every extra wire out that doesn't need to be there.
Wow, that's crazy. That's extreme.
Yeah, every time we think we're like at our minimum weight, we find another 50 pounds somewhere over the winter.
Wow.
So, yeah, I can show you the system here. So.
Oh wow.
So this is the radiator, and that is the air-to-water heat exchanger for the turbo air.
Okay.
So basically, we just we're piping everything through the cabin here for the radiator. You can see under these little shields and whatnot. The pipes go through there. We're all hard piped all the way because that's the lightest way you can do it. And also the most reliable, I think. Less likely to, something to rub through and cause an issue.
Right.
We control the fans and everything with the ECU Master PMU16. So it's basically just a power management unit with a CAN keyboard up on the dash, so we can turn all the fans on and off as we like. So there's 2 fans here, they're pushers, and then there's 2 pullers in the trunk. Siren there, buddy.
So are you running the stock fuel tank then?
Yeah, we're still stock fuel tank, yep. That's one of the things that's on the list to lose more weight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's surprising that you're not having any like fuel cut issues or anything like that with the stock tank.
So we've upgraded the fuel pumps quite a bit. So on the low pressure side in the tank, we've got 2 Walbro 525s.
Okay.
1 feeding the bucket, 1 sending. And then this is Percy. Very needy. Everybody loves him.
Yeah, he's very friendly.
And then we have a big hydromat in there too. So we actually run this tank pretty much on E. I mean, you were on the E, right, for your last run? Like below the E? Yeah, below the E. And yeah, it never has a fueling issue. It's
wow. That's actually pretty surprising. And then did you, was there ever a time where you weren't running these puller fans out the back and you just had it cut open, or?
No. So the original, when I first relocated the air-to-water heat exchanger back here, before I did the radiator, I was just running a single puller in the back, and I had a carbon trunk that I had custom built. So you may have seen it before. It looked like it had a big duckbill in the back. So last year it looked like that. Just 1 big fan. And then we went back to this OEM deck lid and did the 2 pullers so we could kind of figure out exactly how much air we needed to pull. We weren't really sure. So we started with as many fans as we could fit, and then adjusted from there.
Okay.
And interestingly, this actually, around 60 miles an hour, the air starts backfeeding through the fans going the wrong direction.
That's interesting.
You'll feel a wave of hot air come through.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Even with the...
definitely not a track car.
Even with the fans on?
Yep, all 4 of them on, it just overpowers and sends back through.
Yeah,
so you have a big swirling thing going on in the back, and it sends them it just fights right through the fans.
That's crazy.
You can hear the fans, they start sounding really pissed off.
Yeah, they start sounding different.
Yep, like their bearings are not happy. And
yeah, my buddy and I were just talking about that because I have hood risers in the back of the hood on my Civic, and he was thinking that to let the hot air from the engine bay out, and he was thinking, well, you got pressure on the windshield, so you might actually be back feeding the engine bay, which I never even thought of.
Yeah, some pretty crazy stuff happens when you can't see the air. You don't know what's actually going on.
So is it just like stock hubs then and everything? All the like stock wheel studs, or?
Yeah, so we did a stud conversion. We have titanium studs in there.
Okay.
But yeah, hubs are stock. The knuckles are stock.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah. Suspension-wise, we have spherical suspension bushings, which I designed myself. So.
Okay.
That was actually the first product I ever made for JXB Performance.
Really?
Yeah, because nobody makes anything for these cars. This is an Audi S4. Nobody makes spherical bushings. It'd be kind of silly, right?
Yup.
So I decided to start making them. Started making a few things to fix problems on the car, and it kind of snowballed into JXB Performance now. So we sell a bunch of parts for all sorts of cars. Our most popular product is like a performance drive shaft carrier. So if you have like a center support bearing on your drive shaft and the rubber fails on it, often you can't actually service the bearing. But our solution allows you to basically cut the original carrier off the frame, trim the rubber, and clamp a new one around it. So you can save a lot of drive shafts. 2015 and up Charger, Challenger, 300 have major issues. That's our most popular one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it saves a lot of people, you know, $1,200 over buying a new drive shaft usually.
Right. Are the doors still metal and everything? Like
yeah,
what?
So within Street Modified, you have to be like super clever about weight reduction.
Okay.
So you can't modify the doors at all. We still have door cards. We have everything. I mean, we can pull the speakers out, but we got all the interior. We have carpet. I mean, that's heavy carpet.
Yup.
We have the full dash still. We can pull the radio out, but yeah, you have to leave a good portion of the interior intact in the class. So
yeah. I like the matte black on this too. I can tell it was originally red, but I like the color setup you guys got. What are you running for wheels and tires?
So we have Ford Star F14s. They're 18 by 12. The front is a +5 offset and the rear is a +20. So we tuck the rears in because we have more space on the inside.
Okay.
And then we're trying the Nankangs, the 2023 date code CRSs. We just got our hands on the 335 18s. So we're running those all around. Normally we run Hoosier A7s.
Okay.
You know, we're running street mod class. But,
and that's 335 squared?
Yep.
That's insane. I like this thing because it's extremely unique. Like, you don't see it a lot of built Audis or Audi race cars. And a lot of the Audi
for good reason, honestly, but
yeah, and like a lot of the Audis you see are like street cars, but it's like stuff like this is really cool. Like Audi does have like motorsports history, and so like seeing something where it's built to this level is just insane.
Yeah. We've been surprised by the car, honestly. I mean, I used to like calculate how far off I was everybody up at Nationals, and yeah, I'd be like, I'm like 3 seconds off on each course. So like, I'm like, there's got to be a half second here and a half second there, and then there's a quarter of a second if I do this, and then I get it, I'm like, okay, I'm still missing a second, and then sure enough, like we're actually like up there gunning for the top dogs right now. So it's keeping up.
Okay. And you got a website or Instagram or social media that you want to plug?
JXB Performance. So JXBPerformance.com. Instagram's JXB Performance. YouTube's JXB Performance. We post some of the racing videos on YouTube. Mostly we do like product information videos on there.
Sweet.
But yeah.